Good morning. Yesterday I shared the story of the Good Samaritan, and some key points to take out of that was to keep your eyes open, pay attention to what's going on around you, have pity on people, so have a heart, take action, and find mercy. But one of the ways you have to do that, in order to do that, is we have to slow down a little bit. Have you ever been in just too much of a hurry to enter someone else's world? And it can be simple, entering someone else's world. I've begun to try to enjoy the things that my wife enjoys. I know more about plants than I care to know, more about purses than I care to know, more about hair straighteners and colors that I care to know. But entering her world and her likes shows that I have compassion and that I love her. I'm interested in her. The other thing that I slow down and enter her world is also her trauma and her pain. Really getting to know how somebody functions, why they think the way they think, why they react the way they react. Have you slowed down enough to really walk a mile in someone's shoes? You'll never understand what somebody's going through if you won't slow down long enough to get into their world. But when you get into their world, you have to be careful of a couple things. One, you can't lose yourself. Jesus sat with sinners, he ate with sinners, he went where sinners were, and it didn't cause him to become a sinner because he held on to who he was, but it also didn't keep him from loving them. So why do I say that? Because as I'm challenging you to step out and love like Christ at a deeper level, a harder level than maybe what we've ever done, we also have to remember who we are in Christ, whose we belong to. And so yes, we want to enter in other people's lives, but we also want to hold on to who we are. The other thing we have to do is live in the tension between those two things. So entering another world, another person's world, another person's issues, while also understanding again that we are God's, we are made for heaven. And so Jesus did that very well. He modeled that very well, because even while he was with the sinners and hearing what they had to say, he would pray for them and encourage them to turn their life around. I never heard him argue with one. He just simply loved them. And through his love is what really turned those people's lives around. And as we knew, the church exploded. The numbers increased extremely quickly. But our numbers at church are on the decline. So I would challenge that the reason we're on the decline is because we have forgotten to love extravagantly. If we would just love more, if we would just enter into other people's worlds, let them know that we care and that we love them, I bet you our numbers would increase as well. But we can't give what we don't have. So the first thing we have to make sure we understand is, do we have the love of Christ? Because in 1 John it says, we love because he first loved us. Without his love, we are just relying on the same love that the world has, which is nothing more than a transaction. Something like a pothole that I can fall into and something like a bed that I can fall out of. But we know that true love endures all things. And so as we grow in our discipleship, we want to grow in the type of true love that does just that. And we do that by abiding in Christ when he says, remain in my love. So have you remained in his love? Couple questions you can ask yourself as you're kind of gauging your growth is, one, am I growing in patience and kindness? Because I can tell you, if you have patience and you're kind, you will do all the other things that love is. You will hope, you will protect, you will trust, you will persevere. If you're kind, you won't be easily angered, you won't be rude, you won't be selfish, you won't keep records of wrong, and you won't delight in evil. So are you growing in your patience and kindness? Am I loving those who are outside my circle, people I wouldn't normally have an affinity to? And asking God, where are you, Lord, inviting me to love more deeply and maturely? If you ask yourself those three questions every day, I can almost guarantee that you will be growing in love, becoming a mature disciple. And with that, I pray for you, and I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.